Well, good afternoon, and welcome to the Brookside Park restroom renovation ribbon cutting. We're excited about this project. It's been a long time in coming. And I'm Mayor John Haila, and I'm honored to introduce two of our council members that are here. We have David Martin, Ward 3, and Rachel Junk from Ward 4. And I know several of them I talked to this afternoon not able to be there, and one of them actually is over at the tree dump site helping direct traffic this afternoon. So anyway, well, we're just pleased to be here at Brookside Park. It's one of the 38 parks that we have throughout the city, and as we continue to build neighborhoods and homes in Ames, we continue to build parks as well too, and parks are a key building block to strengthening our neighborhoods, and this is just one of them. When this tragedy occurred, when the restroom caught fire, council was very committed to looking for ways to not only keep the integrity of the building, but also how can we make it more inclusive. And so in reconstructing this restroom, gave us a chance to change from being a gendered to a new model for restrooms for all people. So you'll be able to see that when you go through and do the tour after you do ribbon cutting. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Keith Abram, the Director of Parks and Recreation. Keith?
Thank you, Mayor. So just wanted to go through, like Mayor said, the integrity of the building. And when we were getting into this project after we had the fire in May of 2018, we looked at some different options. And one option was to keep the structure as is and renovate. One was to take the building down and build new. And then the third option we looked at was maybe just doing a modular, a prefab building and come and set it in place. There were a number of different things that we looked at, but really this building that you're looking at now with the renovations was built in the 1930s from the Conservation Corps and has served different purposes throughout its life. It used to be our park shop for Parks and Recreation way back when, and then it was converted into a restroom. You know, with this park, most people don't know this, but part of this park is owned by the city, and in a good portion of the park, actually everything west of here, not including the restroom, is leased from the university. So it kind of makes a unique, it's a partnership with the university and the city, and there's many of those examples. But we decided to, like the mayor said, go with 4 gender-neutral restrooms, and you'll be able to see, and even just looking at it right now, if you look at the signage, there is no male, female designation. We really just tried to put on the doors now what's in it. So people, when they come up, they can see, oh, this one has a changing table, this one has a stool, a sink, and so on. So it's one of the things that we're kind of transitioning to with it. The project itself, we did, when we decided to go with this, we contracted with ISG to do the design. Unfortunately, nobody from ISG could be here tonight, but they did the design and really a few iterations looking at what is the best way to go. Henkel Construction was awarded the contract, and Morty from Henkel is here, and he'll be around for questions at the end, as well as Joshua and I. And so I want to thank ISU and Henkel Construction. I also want to thank Joshua Thompson, our Parks and Facilities Superintendent. So he worked closely with ISG and with Henkel, kind of the day-to-day, making sure that things are on schedule, things are getting done, answering the different questions. So we really appreciate Joshua's work as well. Now, one of the things that we did with this, there's a couple of things that are maybe a little different than what we've seen with some of our other restrooms. When you go into the restrooms themselves, we really sat down and talked with our maintenance staff, and we said, all right, if we're going to redo these, what are some things that we should do differently? And our maintenance staff came up with a number of different ideas. One you're going to see is a linear drain on the floor. We used to have in here, there was a drain right in the middle of each restroom. So basically you had to go in, and when you're hosing things down, you had to kind of walk all around the room. Right now what they'll be able to do is come in with the hose, spray from the door to the back where the linear drain is, and should be more efficient for them. One of the things that we had also is with the exhaust. The exhaust in the past was always hooked up to the lights. When the lights turned on, the exhaust turned on. great during the day, but what happens at nighttime when the lights are off, the exhaust fans weren't working. So one of their suggestions was to put the exhaust fans on a timer so they'd run so often, or every few minutes, every so often, every hour, and you're always exhausting some of that air. So one of the other things that we looked at too is if you look on the roof, there are skylights. Two purposes to those skylights. One, to let sun in during the daytime. But the second purpose is we do not lock these restrooms at night. In some of our other restrooms that we're doing, we're putting actually timed locks, so they open up at 6 a.m. when the park's open and lock at 10:30 p.m. But because of the flooding situation here in Brookside that happens every so often, we didn't feel it was worth the expense because we'd have to change those out. So if somebody were in here at nighttime, they aren't motion sensor lights or infrared sensor lights, so they detect heat and the light will be on. If an officer were to come by and see the skylight lit at nighttime, they would know that maybe something's going on inside that restroom, and they can come and check it out. So it's another visual for the officers to see if there's something going on within the park. So those are a few things that we looked at early on. I know when talked about with preserving. We do have Lori Biederman, who's president of the Brookside Friends Group, and had conversation with them with what we were going to do, and they like the fact that we're going to keep the building. So those are a few things. You'll be able to see all this when we after we do the ribbon cutting in a few minutes. So with that, I'd like to introduce Sarah Cady, who's the chairperson of the Parks and Recreation Commission. Sarah?
All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming out today. I am the sole member of the commission that was able to come this afternoon, but my other commission members are Sarah Litwiller, Jeremy Bristow, Eve Laterhouse, Dwayne Reeves, Jacob Ludwig, Nathan Shmanek, and myself, Sarah Cady. Just wanted to say, in a week with so much destruction throughout our state, it is really great to see a project that has been completed in our community. To some people, a bathroom may seem like a small thing, but as both Keith and Mayor Haila said, it is one step in making our park system more inclusive, of mobility limited individuals. These park restrooms have been updated to be fully handicap accessible. These are more useful for families and caregivers, and they are useful for individuals that require a general neutral facility. This project took many months of planning, discussion, and public input. We talked many times with the community, as Keith mentioned, the Brookside Friends Group, about whether or not we could retain the original structure and the ramifications of replacing a building in the floodplain. More broadly, it required both the council and the commission to make some decisions about how to approach future restroom projects to ensure accessibility and inclusivity. The last few months have made it very apparent that a well-maintained park system is crucial to the physical and emotional well-being of our citizens. Parks and outdoor spaces are one of the few places it's safe to gather right now, whether it be for an outdoor meal, playtime with children, or exercise in small groups. At our last Zoom meeting in July, Keith commented on how many people he's observed enjoying their lunches in parks. And we live close to Emma McCarthy Lee Park, and I can't remember ever seeing so many people playing tennis in the park system. It's really great to see. Permanent restrooms like this, they offer enhanced hygiene in public spaces at a time when hand washing has been elevated to an art form. With so many people sharing meals in parks and enjoying outdoor spaces for extended periods, it is important to have safe and clean, accessible restroom facilities, especially in one of Ames' most heavily used parks. This past week during the power outage, I was reminded that parks serve a particularly important purpose for individuals that do not have outdoor access at their apartment or residence hall. So many people have been taking advantage of the park system over the past 5 months when faced with the reality that gathering or exercising indoors has an increased risk of coronavirus transmission. And after last week's storm, I witnessed many small groups of residents without power, including us. We were there walking, but gathering at Emma McCarthy Lee to cook and share meals. I just want to thank the Parks, Public Works, and Ames Electric staff who have worked so many long hours in this last week to clean up after the storm and to restore power to the city. As you can see in the Brookside Park and surrounding neighborhood, they have already made significant progress. I applaud the City of Ames staff for working so hard this past week and always to make our parks safe and beautiful for all to enjoy. The completion of the Brookside restroom project is another asset in our park system for the community to enjoy for decades to come. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sarah. So let's do the ribbon cutting. Ribbon. You got something?
Use your tie.
Yeah.
Oh, bro.
Hey, there we go.
Okay, on the perforation. Very good, Joshua.
So with that, really appreciate everybody showing up, council members, commission members, the mayor. Like the comments from the mayor and from Sarah. But right now, staff will be around. If you do have any questions, you can take a look in the different restrooms. There's still a few little items that we have to take care of, but for the most part, everything's pretty well finished. So thank you for coming, and hopefully in the next week or so, these will actually be open and functional. So thank you, and have a good night.